Hello, happy Easter. Thanks for joining us here on KXAN Live. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora, and this Sunday we have our Tommy's Travel Forecast with our meteorologist, Tommy House. Tommy, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Hope you're having a good start to your Easter.
Yeah, it was a little rainy this morning, but the sun is out, the clouds are gone. It's beautiful.
Look, the forecast verified. I'll just say that. You know, we had our morning line of storms move through the hill country, weakened slightly, and then sunny skies returned, and our temps soared. It's 80s across the board here through the I-35 corridor. So, you know, perfect for late Easter plans or dinner reservations or just time to be outdoors.
Yeah, so we are expecting a few more storms for the rest of this week. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. Not only in Texas, but big picture across the country, we are going to see a weather pattern change to close out April that's a little bit more on brand to what April is. April showers, spring May flowers, that's the saying, and we expect a few more rounds of rain through Texas, but this also extends through the plains, the deep south, the Midwest, and the Northeast. Rounds of rain, as I mentioned, that could bring some severe weather. Now, probably low end, but some thunder can't be ruled out. And then wetter than normal, which just means we're expecting more rain than a typical 7-day stretch. And then also with those temperatures expecting to be at least in the mid to upper 80s here in Austin and perhaps a few 90s across the Lone Star State to end April and start May. I know we don't want to hear about 90s too much now, but we've already had more than 10, so it's definitely been on the mild side so far in 2025.
And Tommy, this April, was it supposed to be drier than normal, wetter than normal, and what did we end up seeing?
Yeah, so warmer than normal was kind of the big trend. It was a little bit back and forth about the precipitation anomalies. I know we have been fairly dry this past week, and then, of course, we had our round of rain that moved through today. And this is why you see that red L, that's a low pressure system across the plains. And there's a lot of moisture that is to the north and east of it, toward places like Iowa, Missouri, Illinois. I'll just draw that right there to show you what's happening. And then on the back end of this low pressure, we have some dry air that's coming in. So hence the blue sky, and you know, you step outside, it just feels a little bit less muggy than it has been the past few days. Of course, that's from the dew points finally returning back down to the 40s and 50s here. Still where we're seeing some moisture in eastern Texas, dew points in the 60s and 70s. So, you know, in our eastern counties like Miami and Fayette, they're still seeing some cloud cover and very light drizzle. And then out toward Mason, Llano, and San Saba, it's blue sky as far as the eye can see, not a single cloud. In Austin, as of right now, 3:15 p.m., we're kind of in between those two air masses. So we're having kind of just a partly cloudy skies right now, but still, it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Beautiful Sunday, but we are missing that rain, especially with our drought here in Central Texas. Can we expect to see this rain benefit us throughout this week?
Yeah, it's been very beneficial. There's also been some severe weather that has been a little bit around the Austin area, not quite through the 15 counties that I am covering here. Up toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they had multiple tornado warnings there and a few confirmed tornadoes. Western Texas toward El Paso had blowing dust. Toward Western Texas had quarter-mile visibility at times with the winds that were just ripping there down I-10. Lubbock and St. Angelo had some hail. We had a few tornado reports here. Weatherford, which is just west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, had a Parker County Sheriff's Office observed a tornado that was moving in that direction there. Sterling City, a large tornado confirmed by a trained spotter. And then we had tornadoes in progress and funnel clouds and things like that that were just west of San Saba. And, you know, that same line of storms moved in, and thankfully we didn't see that much severe weather, if any at all. Beneficial rain, as you mentioned, but we wish we had a little bit more, but we'll take what we can get right now. And This goes back 12 hours, so you can see once this radar loop resets in the next 2 seconds here, we had a line moving through. See all the lightning there through Austin and
Definitely
Dallas.
Heard that all night long.
Yeah, I woke up around 5:30 and I'm in Southwest Austin, and I was like, well, the forecast, at least there was something, you know. There wasn't the huge hail that we were concerned about in isolated tornadoes, but we still had the, as you mentioned, beneficial rain, still some light showers in Houston and Tyler, Texas, and for eastern half of the state toward Louisiana. And actually at this moment, there are a few severe thunderstorm warnings and a tornado warning in western Missouri. And you can kind of trace out where that low pressure is. I'm going to draw it for you here. So on satellite radar, I know it's a white drawing on white clouds, but think of it as the counterclockwise flow, so you have the dry air moving through Oklahoma, and then you have a lot of moisture that's really coming in from the Gulf through Missouri, through Arkansas, Western Tennessee, and then as we pointed out, you can see on the travel forecast, that's where the severe weather is going to be most likely impacting them through the next few hours. Storm Prediction Center has a level 3 out of 5 risk west of St. Louis and Memphis. This is for today, so if you're flying tomorrow or the next few days, I'm not worried about it, but friends and family that you have in these states, just prepare for some strong storms that are moving through, kind of like what we had in Texas, except farther up north through the central Great Plains.
Well, after this quick break, Tommy, I want to ask you how everyone can stay up to date with severe weather for this week and where they can find all the information. We'll be right back. And we're back, Tommy. We were talking about a few hours that we observed over the weekend and what we can expect into the week. But for anyone who is wondering where they can stay up to date with all the information from you or from our other meteorologists, where can they do that? Where can they find that?
Yeah, Tommy House Weather is my Instagram. That's something that you can actually see on your screen right there. It's pretty cool. I'm always posting stuff here locally and, maybe even some big picture stuff as well. Walking you through the next few days with this new pattern change, we're really not going to be seeing any big severe weather outbreaks. I guess today would be the one day where there's multiple warnings, but that line of storms you can see by this evening, watch how quickly it fizzles out. There's just not a lot of moisture. So typically across the deep south, you'll get a lot of moisture and storm energy that's coming in out of the Gulf. That could be bringing some strong storms from Atlanta to Birmingham, but that's not the pattern that we have. That's because the low pressure that's sitting in Missouri right now is going to move way up to the north and east. So it's just basically going to grab all that moisture and just yank it way out of the deep south. So therefore, we're not going to be seeing nearly the big severe weather storm impacts as we had earlier in the month. I know there were a few of these travel forecasts I've had where I've shown you level 4, even level 5 out of 5 severe weather. So that's not the case here. Walking you through Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, fairly quiet. The exception's actually the Lone Star State here in central Texas. I do expect a few more scatter rounds of showers and storms Tuesday into Wednesday. And as you mentioned at the top of the show, the next 7 days, I think probably 5 or 6 of these days, we're going to be having scattered thunderstorms, at least locally here in our 7-day forecast at KXAN.
Well, so for anyone who is interested in getting those severe weather alerts, where can they get those?
Yeah, the First Warning Weather app's a great option. A NOAA weather radio is also important, or just having some sort of application on your phone that gives you real-time severe weather alerts. Especially if you're traveling the Midwest and Plains through May, which is the busiest storm month. So there's always going to be some sort of curveball Mother Nature tries to throw at us, or, whether that's potential for tornadoes across the plains or flooding or hail and things like that. It's always good just to be prepared. The saying is be prepared, not scared, and just have an action plan, and have ways to receive those alerts on your phone.
Yeah. What are we looking at right now on your map?
Okay, I was also just pulling this up for fun. I like just to throw different stuff at y'all, right? Because the local Texas weather, we kind of have our 15 counties. Here's the high, here's the low. I like the big picture stuff too. Real quickly, I just want to point out, southeast is warmer than normal. There's cool through the plains on the back end of that low pressure. Remember I mentioned that if the low somewhere in Missouri here, we're seeing that counterclockwise flow. So we have the drier and then cooler than normal air that's working in through Texas today. I know our normal high is 81. We're dealing with some 70s out in the hill country. And as we begin to wrap this up, we're going to talk about the rain chances that are going to be in southern Texas here in central Texas through the coming few days. This is one of the long-range computer models we look at. So here's Monday, some light, but as I mentioned, weak showers and very low-end severe weather across states like Mississippi, Alabama. Tuesday into Wednesday, some rain in Texas through the plains. That moves all the way up from Arkansas, Oklahoma to Nebraska and Iowa. Continuing to play this out here Wednesday into Thursday. It's pretty much, look at that, a rinse and repeat. Mm-hmm. The rain train continues Thursday. Friday, there's some still clouds, and then Friday into Saturday. I will say this too. Today, this afternoon, And then tomorrow, I think, are going to be the only 2 days where you're going to be seeing an excessive amount of sunshine throughout your day. It's going to be a lot of cloud cover through next weekend and wrap up April. So for those who want to maybe head out to Barton Springs or, perhaps go for a run or take your dog to the park, today's perfect, at least in the central I-35 corridor in the hill country. And then tomorrow is going to be great. Warm, 80s and 90s, but still sunny Monday. And then that's going to change, as you've just seen, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday into next week.
And Tommy, you mentioned that April is wrapping up. Of course, we're on the 20th of the month. What are we expecting throughout May? I know that this month was a little drier than normal. Is May going to be wetter than normal? What are we looking at?
So we're looking at a few different big long-range computer models and meteorologists at different divisions of the National Weather Service and NOAA. The Climate Prediction Center is one of those. It's a team of meteorologists that look at trends, wetter than normal for pretty much most of the states across the lower 48. The exception is the I-95 corridor down the East Coast, but Texas through farther north to the Dakotas, wetter than normal. Of course, the question is, what is normal? You can get into the numbers and the weeds of it, but just think we're going to be seeing more rain than we typically do in a 7-day period here when we're looking at Central Texas standards as well as big picture across the lower 48. So it's just a sign to say wetter days are ahead. That's the bottom line. And with that, of course, warmer than normal temperatures. And again, the exception here is way out toward the West Coast, the Four Corners, cities like LA, Vegas, and San Fran. But the warmer than normal contour is pretty much just engulfing anywhere from Austin to Atlanta up toward Maine and Montana. So if you're flying, I know spring break's wrapping up and finals are just getting started in the coming week or two. But if you're vacationing in late April, it's going to be warm for the most part, and just bring an umbrella and rain jacket, because I guarantee you most places across the country are going to have some sort of showers in the next week. Maybe Arizona and the desert, southern Nevada might stay dry, but things are looking more on the wet side.
That's nice. That's what we've been needing here, especially in Central Texas.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, for sure. We have your article right now that you wrote today, actually, and it's on our homepage, kxan.com. What can we find on this article that we didn't get to talk about today?
Yeah, so talking about the severe weather that we have today by the Storm Prediction Center through the next few hours, we have storm reports of, hey, this is what happened locally here from 2 p.m. on Saturday to 2 p.m. today. You can see a little tornado icons there and hail. I talk about how multiple rounds of some showers and storms are coming. You can see the future clouds and radar, a few different snapshots I took from, I think, Tuesday and later on in the work week. And then ending with how's it going to look across the next 6 to 10 days, in text at the bottom there, just saying wetter and warmer than normal conditions are expected. So something to look forward to for the rain lovers, people who are sick and tired of sunny and 90. But if you do like the sunny and 90-degree days, then of course tomorrow is probably going to be your pick of the week.
Yes. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Tommy. We're excited to look ahead at each week. And before we wrap up, I want to have you remind all of our viewers what Tommy's travel forecast is and what we talk about every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm trying to pinpoint the exact details here, but we're looking at big picture. My specialty is locally forecasting for the 15 counties that I serve, but I also like to see what's it like in Dallas, what's it like in OKC, up toward Chicago, the East Coast, Boston, New York, West Coast, way out towards San Francisco and Oregon and Washington. So, it's a lot crammed into 15 to 30 minutes of your time, but I'm hoping to put a little bit of perspective in each region of the country in case you're planning on traveling or you have friends and family in those areas.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us this Sunday, and we'll see you next Sunday, Tommy.
Awesome. Sounds good.